Last session of the day, a tutorial titled Classroom Discussion on Food Waste and Public Health. How relevant is the food industry? We are honored to have Dr. Rapso with us, who will guide us through the critical topic. This session will be highly interactive, and I encourage everyone to share your thoughts, ask questions, and bring in your perspectives on the link between food waste, public health, and the role of food industry. Without further ado, let us invite Dr. Rapso to start the tutorial.
Good afternoon to everyone, and let's start this afternoon session by making this question: How relevant is the food industry, and for not only is the food industry, but for the food industry, this discussion about the food waste topic that we have already addressed here and discussed in the previous sessions. And I would like to know how do you think that the waste of food can be relevant for the food industry? And if we think, and as we have already mentioned, when we are talking about food wasting, we are talking about the waste of money, the waste of we are talking about economic losses. So this for the companies, for the food industry, is quite relevant for this reason. Not only, but mainly for this reason, because without economic profits, the companies can survive. So it is very very relevant, a part of the sustainability of the health issues and everything we have already talked here. But thinking on the food industry and companies, of course, the economical vision, it is also a very huge point to take into consideration. So, by analyzing what these researchers found on the literature, this is the results of the scoping review. What are the key messages to reduce waste in food-based dietary guidelines? What is more mentioned in the literature, in the reviewed studies that these researchers found? And the most papers talk and mention the plant meals. So if we adequate plant meals, maybe we can contribute to less food waste, to reduce this waste in food-based dietary guidelines. Then we have the use of leftovers and store food correctly. And then avoid overconsumption, excessive purchases, be aware of the shelf life of the food products, and finally the use of imperfect produce, freeze food, and avoid impulse buying. So these are the main key messages we find regarding the reduced waste in food-based dietary guidelines, and we can find in the literature. Another study points out the 6 environment-friendly ways to food waste recycling activities, and they are the conversion of food scrap into biogas, the reuse of food packaging material, the compost kitchen and garden scrap, put your waste to work, creative use of leftovers, donate waste for animal feed. Well, I think all of these things we have already talked when we had the session about food waste. These were the 6 environment-friendly ways to food waste recycling activities, more specified in the literature, also in this review. And the key steps of designing an integrated food waste management system are also pointed for the same authors. So, education, public participations, and future perspectives. We can find out here some examples like the assessment and data collection, the stakeholder engagement. It is very important, the involvement of all the stakeholders on this, the policy and regulatory framework, the public awareness and education, the source of separation, collection and transportation, treatment and processing, recycling and resource recovery, the monitoring and reporting, research and innovation, evaluation and continuous improvement, and of course, the international collaboration. All of these steps are fundamental to manage this food waste and, of course, to avoid it as possible. Here, we have some comparative analysis regarding the food waste valorization technologies, and we have this the biofuel production, biofertilizer production, animal feed production, and composting, and also the anaerobic digestion. I think we have already heard about this, and of course it depends the environment. It depends on the place and the type of waste we want to treat. We can apply these technologies to valorize our waste and not to discard totally what is generated with this food. These are another table regarding the stages of supply chain and sources of food waste with some examples. We have here the agricultural production. I can point out the example of the US. The crops like lettuce and broccoli are often left under harvested due to falling market prices, and in sub-Saharan Africa, loss is up to 50% to pests. This is an example of food that is wasted, and we can think on it, and of course create and design some specific strategies and programs to avoid these wastes. The impact of food waste on global challenges such as the climate change, the resource depletion, pollution, poverty, and economic loss. All of these can be dependent on the food we waste, and these are great challenges we have regarding the food insecurity, the biodiversity loss, the environmental impact, the resource wastage, the consumer related waste, the landfill overload, and the economic loss. So these are some challenges, and with practical solutions, we have in this image, for example, regarding the environmental impact. We can think in the composting. We can think in the circular bioeconomy. Regarding food insecurity, of course, food recovery programs to avoid this. When we talk about resource wastage, think on innovative packaging. We think on the circular bioeconomy as well. So we have to see where is the challenge, and then find the most proper solution. And of course, these are the most common and maybe the biggest problem related with food waste: the air, water, and soil pollution, the global warming and climate change that we are observing worldwide, the resource depletion, the poverty and hunger, the economic loss, the ethnic pollution, the other pollution. So if we think in all the problems, in all the drawbacks related with wasting food, we can see that this scenario is even more complex that we can imagine on in our daily actions, that we think that hasn't not a big impact on the world where we live. That is not true. The simple act of discard some food, waste some food, I think it is not you, it is not me that are wasting food. If we make the sum of the whole food that is wasted each meal, each day, by all of us, then we can see and we can relate it with these implications. Uh, Here is the case of one specific country and the implications of food waste generation on climate change, in the case of Greece. And here in this graphic, we see the food waste composition, and it is separated by the the type of food. And we can see, for example, here, the tomato, it represents 18%. And for example, here we have starches like bread, rice, and noodles with an important value of food waste. This is the panorama of the food waste by food type. Of course, this will vary from country to country. This is the example of an European country, exactly Greece. We see that in this graphic we see a lot of vegetables that are discarded: cucumber, lettuce, tomato, banana peel, pineapple, melon. All of these are about 50%, and then in the other 50%, we have 25% correlated with bread, rice, and pasta noodles. So we should think on this. I go back and to remind you that the all food we waste, it could be served to feed up people that have no chances, have no possibilities to get access to the basic foods, to staple foods in the a lot of countries. So when we are wasting food, we are taking off the opportunity of a child, of a woman, of a man to get the possibility to survive if we think well and reflect on that. And this is the food waste generation status in different countries. I uh, uh, I get this information from this website, and this is related to the year of 2023. And these data are annual per capita household food waste of selected countries worldwide as of 2020. So this data is about 5 years, and here I identified the countries that the total food waste per year are, are bigger, and we see in front we have India and China. Of course, this is also related with the number of people these countries have, the total of inhabitants. However, we see also in other countries with high populations with less food waste. You can see also Mexico, the US, but we should think that how can we do not only as researchers, not only as health professionals or food scientists or what else, but in our daily lives as common citizens integrated in a country, in a community. What can we do to change this? Because if we are wasting food, and this is synonymous that we have that food. So why we are not using the food properly? But in the other way, in the same places, we have people dying because they don't have access to food. So this is a paradox that we should find some reasons and find some explanations, and then of course some strategies to fight, to combat, to change this scenario, because it is on our hands. It's on our hands as citizens to change this, to educate people not to waste food when we are shopping, not overconsumption, not to buy unnecessary, when we are harvesting those foods and then to prepare, and then when we are going to the table and to eat, not discard food, and educate our children with that since very early in their lives, not discard food, because that could be very useful for another child that has no access to food, and perhaps he will die because of that. And it would be a very huge challenge to see in another 5 or 10 years, make this analysis and see how it will be. Of course, these programs are not easy to implement. These results will not change one day to the other, but we must start to do something different. We must start to do something innovative also in this aspect to change the things because of course the natural resources are limited, the worldwide population is growing, but we are wasting food. If we see this chart and if we conclude that we are not wasting food and the reason that people are dying for hunger and stunt is because there is no food, that would be another problem. But the question is, people are dying because they don't have the food for one side, and in the other side we see this. We see this data, we see these results. So what to do? What the ideas can we have? How can the food industry, the stakeholders, all of us, the academics, and most important of all, I think, how the populations, the citizens, on their lives, on their daily lives, in their routines, can make something different, can implement something new and different to achieve different results of this. And this is not a problem of India. This is not a problem of China. This is a worldwide huge problem. Of course, you have these values because see the size of these countries, see the number of inhabitants of these countries. But all the countries worldwide have this problem of food waste. And this should be thinking, of course, together. And now, please let me know your ideas, your point of view regarding this and what to do. And this is also a concern of public health. Okay, this food insecurity, this all these problems that we have here regarding with food waste. What to do to mitigate this, and what strategies, which strategies we can think to adopt, to implement, to reduce this waste of food and consequently these problems that become from this food wasting. Please let me know what you think and your ideas, your about this topic. We have already discussed a little on the previous session about food waste. We have yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, but we have your opportunity to discuss further this issue.
So in the last slide that you showed, where the maximum is China and India in terms of food waste, that is food grains, it's a household waste, and it's mentioned as 68.75 million metric tons per year. But if we look at it per day, then it comes to almost it appears very high. If we
Yes.
calculate that per day, because it's annual per capita household food waste.
Yes.
68.75 if we look at India.
Food waste, yes. Per year, yes. Yes.
So isn't that it's too much? 68.75 million metric tons per year, which would be almost 0.18 million metric ton per day.
The data are per year, okay? Yes, you can make then the division per day, yes, of course. But the total country, yes? Yes, and how to reduce this? The question is how to mitigate it. Yes, these values are not per day, okay? This is per year. Per year. It is not easy to find the perfect solution for this. If if it was easy, we were not here discussing it. Of course, if someone knows the best way to solve this big issue? We will not.
First thing we
Yes,
first
please.
thing we can do is we can utilize the
The
peel,
peel,
onion peel, tomato peel, outer
peel.
covering.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, I understand. Yes,
outer covering of the fruit or vegetables. We can utilize it.
of course, that is one of the ways. Yes.
Another thing we can use is we can reduce the wastage by making proper storage and making transportation more feasible.
Yes, yes. All of that things we have already mentioned, have already talked, and I will say again, for me, one of the most important things, and then we should relate this food waste, if there is any relationship with the education level of the populations, because I think that more than the strategies or more than actions like that you mentioned is the education of the people. Education, not need education of school, PhD, master, no, education regarding this
Production and the utilization.
is
These two.
exactly to adopt that kind of actions daily. And it is very important that the health professionals, the food scientists or food professionals pass these messages to the population to teach them to take these actions daily in their lives, to and not only the adults, the children in the schools think that small actions in their daily lives can change the world, because that is the truth. This is not poetry, this is not this is the real truth. And we need to talk, we need to communicate to the populations and to pass our message in the best way we can, because there are a lot of strategies, there are a lot of actions, but the knowledge must be transferred to the communities, to the population. It is not only good. We have the knowledge for us, for scientists, for no. There are more citizens than we are also citizens, but you understand there are more common citizens, as we can talk about that, than food scientists, than academics. So our goal is to communicate this message, this how to do these actions in the routines of the people, to adapt these actions to their daily lives, and see if they indeed have any problem in put in practice this. This is I think the most the greater challenges, because this the use of leftovers, the recovery of the food, we know that, but we have to teach people how can they do that, and very simple things that they can freeze food, not to buy too much food that then they will lost money because they are spending money in food that they will not consume, or will consume in not good conditions, and that can be even harmful, or will be discarded. So not to buy more than the needed, to harvest in proper conditions the food, to make some intelligent use of the leftovers. All of this must be explained and sometimes adapted to the family context, to the people, to where they live, if they live in a rural area or if they live in a city. So all of this must be taken consideration, and it's very important our role in the communities to mitigate this very huge problem. Of course, in countries like China, like India, we have a very large population, lot of people, and very big, very massive rural area. This work is even more challenge, but it is very important to do, because we will see an improvement of the economy. We will see an improvement of more food sources. The benefits of waste less food will be very, very, very significant. We will have less people suffering from undernourishment, from anger. We will have less deaths directly related with this issue. So, of course, once again, this is not from one day to another. We have to think on strategies, the implementation of some programs to be more close to the schools, the communities, to but we must start from somewhere, and we should go join to the policymakers, to the people that are in charge in the governments with this data. See, we have our economy state is this. However, we are throwing to the trash this money, this food, because if we talk in food, maybe the governments, the policymakers, will not pay much attention. But if we say we are throwing money to the trash, they perhaps will think a little bit and reflect, and maybe they will be interested in seeing how can we not spend so much money for nothing. So if we can make some kind of an investment in a program to make these results, this data being different, and see that they can earn money, all of us can earn money, and of course help with this. I think that can be one of the ways to convince those who can support these programs, these actions to make them a reality, and then of course make the work in the field, in the joints with all the stakeholders, all the industries, the companies, because this has interest for everyone in very different aspects, not only the health, not only the human lives, but also the economic. And believe me, some parts are more interested in the economic side than in the health of people. Unfortunately, this is the truth. This is the reality in our world. But if we can take advantage on this, why not?
Yes, sir. I would like to add one more thing to this. We can promote local people to consume local food products that are consumed or produced in that particular area, like
Yes,
local vegetables, local fruits that are
of
grown in that
course,
particular area, so that we can reduce the transportation cost and
of course.
wastage that occurs during the transportation.
Of course, totally agree. That is another action that we can once again explain the people why, and then not only do this. It is important when you say you are teaching the people, you do this because of this, and that explanation, I think, it's very clear. Of course, if you consume local food products, first the flavor and the taste, all the sensorial properties will be different, and we reduce the costs related with transportation. All of that aspects, if well explained to the people, will consume, and that we want will consume more local products and not a similar product that comes from the other part of the world. Maybe we have a change on their behavior. Of course
Thank you, sir.
all of that actions that and behaviors we want that people change, we need to explain very well, and of course in different languages. It will depends on our audience, but yes, very, very relevant. Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
thank you.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
So basically, what I think is the mindset behind food wastage. Like for
Yes,
example, you take an example that if a stick of butter, it's for almost $4 to $5, for example. So even if it goes to waste, we won't think that how much hours it went through the churning process or how long it took for the butter to which was to be made for a consumer. He'll only think that the price. He'll only think from the price tag of point of view that it was just for a $4 and it doesn't matter if it goes to waste also. So all
yes,
that lies behind is
but it
the
depends. And once again, we have to educate the population and explain the population that it is not only the money related with the food waste. Perhaps for some people, the money it is the only thing that matters, but it should not be. So that is important to know. Once again, the audience where we are talking, where we are make our actions and teachings, because it is not only the money, it is not only for this is not so expensive, so no problem if we discard this. For some people, I believe they think on that. So we buy more than we need. It's better. I buy more if I don't need, go to the trash. But it is also our goal to change the mind of that people, because the butter, the fruit, the vegetable, everything that I will not consume and I will discard with no utilization, that could serve to save a human being life. So make people think from the other way. It doesn't matter if you have money or not to buy the triple of food that you can, because we have very disparities in this world. People, of course, that don't have economic power, don't have money, but of course we have others that have money that they can't count even their money. So it is not a problem to buy tons of food and to discard tons of food. But this is not a question of money. It is important to explain and to point out this. We are talking about human's life, and daily with the distribution of food and how this is working, we have people dying because simply they don't have access to food. And we have this million tons of food waste worldwide. So it is not a question of I have money or I don't have money to buy. Not only that, okay? Okay,
Okay, sir.
it's important to highlight. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Sir, my question is, what measures can food industry take to minimize the food waste without compromising the food safety and their profit?
A lot of measures, and the food industry is particularly interested on this, because if they don't waste food, they don't waste money. So and some food industries, and even that I know in Portugal, they are adopting some quality systems and adopting some international standards guidelines to avoid this and to be the process in their companies more environmentally friendly. So they are one of all of us should be interested, but the food companies they have this relation to waste of food related with the waste of money very clear, because they see if they produce more than they need, and if they discard with making no money with what they produce, they will lose money, and they produce, of course, in different quantities than what, for example, you produce in your house, in the meals you will prepare for you and for your family. So, of course, in the food industries and the food companies, they are much more conscious about this, and at least from my experience, they are the first ones who are looking for to the various different ways to not waste the foods. So it depends on the food industry, it depends on the size, on everything of what they produce, but they are the first ones to employ and to apply measures to then produce more than what they need.
Okay,
I
sir,
don't
thank you,
know
sir.
if here it's the same or if you have a different opinion, but food industries have that very clear. And
Okay,
not only for the sustainable reasons, okay, but for the economical reasons.
yes, sir. Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon.
Sir, as you mentioned the public health impacts of food waste, could you please explain the how nutritional losses from wasted food affects the community health outcomes?
Affects community?
Community health outcomes.
I think that community.
So could you please explain how nutritional losses from wasted food affects the community health outcomes?
I didn't understand the last word. Community, wealth.
Community health outcomes.
Community health outcomes. Okay, I understand. Anyone wants to answer? I think this is very clear. Anyone has any idea about this? So, if you have nutritional losses, how can this be reflected in the community health outcomes?
Nutritional deficiencies will be more common
Of course. Why?
because during processing or during transportation, micronutrients will lose.
Of course, we will not have the sufficient food to accomplish the needs of the population. And of course, this can be also reflected in the deficiencies, and the people cannot afford it. Yes, that I think
So
that is.
to accomplish that, we need to add more supplements to the community. We have to add. It will cost more. Like it will be the
Yes, but
additional
that
cost
no
of
sense.
supplement.
You are discarding food that could serve for this, and then you are making food supplements. I think we should reflect on that. The food supplements and that it's not something that should be natural. And if you go to the definition of food supplement, it is for special needs in special occasions that people can't accomplish their needs. But in theory, and I repeat, for a healthy population, they can accomplish that with normal food. And it is no sense we are discarding food and then think on food supplementation or what else. The problem is not to waste food. Because we are wasting food, we are wasting money, and then we are paying money to design or to get food supplementation. That is not, in my point of view, that is not the way to make the correct things. You should think is not waste food. If you not waste food, perhaps you will not, we will not have that health outcomes related with nutrition deficiencies. It's more or less like that. But that's my point of view, of course.
So my question is that how can food industry balance the profit making with ethical responsibility towards reducing the food waste?
The responsibility of the food industry to reduce food waste, of course, because they are producers of the food. If they discard food, it will be in a very wide scale, a larger scale than in our homes. But of course, if we join all together, we are more than the food industry. Okay, but of course, they have a relevant role on that. But as I said before, they will be very conscious, and at this moment they are very conscious for sure regarding that. Because if if they waste the food, they waste money, and they will close. So it's a different vision compared with us citizens. But of course, they have the responsibility to not have practices that will waste food. But as I said, I don't know how it is here. In most of cases, they are conscious of that, and they are doing things to mitigate this waste. And in the homes of the citizens, of the people, the scenario is quite different, because the impact is not so well seen. In the food industry, if you during a year or month you have a food waste, a considerable food waste, you will see that your economic power, the finances of the food industry, will not be so wealthy. And this is not so easy to see in our homes, because the scale production is very little compared, of course, with the food industries.
So there is one more question that can food waste recycling create a source for the new affordable nutrition?
Yes, of course, one of the measures. Yes. Yes, totally agree.
Sir, how
The
it
question is, once again, to become the people involved on that, and to teach the people. Yes, all of that matters that we have talked here, the recovery, the recycling. Yes, of course, good solutions.
okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to know, can you please give us an example that what type of micronutrients are lost during processing? Major one of them. Another thing is during transportation, which micronutrients are more affected?
It depends, but of course, some vitamins are very, very, very easily to be to be destroyed. Those ones, that temperature can be affected. Of course, depends the conditions of transport. Nowadays, we have technologies and way of transportation that can avoid those losses. But of course, that also will depend the distance, the way of transportation, the type of food. But if we think in micronutrients, I think that vitamins can be the most easily lost in that transportation.
If we talk about fruits and vegetables, then which vitamins will be more like susceptible to heat and temperature or travel distance and all?
Yes, that is one of the reasons that we say people to make preference for local products. If you have your own local fruits, if you have your local vegetables, why you are buying fruits that came from the other continent? Globalization allows us that. Even if I go supermarket in Portugal, we have tropical fruits that they don't have the optimal conditions to be cultivated in the climate of Europe, of Portugal, but we have access to them. And not only fruits, vegetables, and a lot of products. But of course, we are paying more. First of all, we are paying more for that products, and then not only the nutritional profile, but if we catch those products and go to the lab and see their composition and make a comparison, for example, with the same fruits, but that was not moved from their natural habitat, from the natural continent, we see differences. And if we see, for example, in Portugal, a banana that comes from Costa Rica, from Colombia, from Ecuador, and if we make the comparison between a banana that comes from Portugal, from Madeira Island, that we have also that culture, we see differences, but that is normal. Even if you have a very good transportation ways and technologies to make the losses being the less as possible, but it is normal that we verify some differences, and you will pay more for the banana that came from the other continent. That is one of the reasons that we must stimulate people to consume local and fresh products.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, like, do you believe that this food wastage situation or the problem, it's more of towards the nations who are developed or the developing nations compared to the third
No,
world nations, which
no,
are
I think it's all nations have this problem. I think it's not. Of course, some nations that are under development or have more difficulties will be felt. It will be have a more impactful feeling in the populations, in the economic of the populations, of course. But it is not an exclusive problem of India, of China, of countries underdeveloped. No, of course, in some regions, in some countries, this impact will be stronger, will be bigger. But in Portugal, a small country in Europe, of course, we feel the impact. The food industries in Portugal will feel very well the impact of waste more food, or no, the people in Portugal, if buy more that they need and they discard the food, will feel the impact if they have to buy once again the same food they throw to the trash. And there are also people, poor people in Portugal and countries similar to Portugal that has impossibilities to buy their daily foods to accomplish their requirements. Of course, in a small scale compared with you, compared with countries like India, like China, but this is not the problem that can I say. It is a bigger problem, or it is an exclusive problem of countries like India, like China. No, no, like Mexico, like Brazil. Brazil is also another country that has relevant issues on this matter, but this is a worldwide problem.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, my question is, what lessons can developing countries learn from global best practices in food waste management?
Yes, it is our goal. It is our goal to teach not only the underdevelopment countries, all the countries. I repeat, this is not the question is the underdevelopment countries has less knowledge than the other countries. I think this is a global scale problem, and we shouldn't think on specific measures or only measures for underdeveloped countries. No, it of course we can and we have the responsibility to adapt the ways of accomplish this mitigation of food waste. It depends on the country, the context, the society, everything. But this is a large scale problem and not exclusively from underdeveloped countries. Or no. In my point of view, that is very wrong. We have a lot problems of food waste in restaurants, for example, in Portugal, in canteens, in social canteens in Portugal, in Portugal, and I say Spain, France, Italy, United Kingdom, in the United States, in theory, a rich country, but this is not exclusively of countries that their economies are not so strong. No, that is not true.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, like we can educate people that they should take that much amount of food in their plate that they can consume. Like sometimes people fill their plate so much with so much food that they are not able to consume it properly and they throw it. So neither they are consuming nor anybody else could consume it. And also we should donate the food. Like in India we have major festivity like marriage. So a lot of food is produced during that time and people do this habit. So we should educate people that they should donate the food if it is not needed in the
Yes,
festivity
for
also.
example, yes. Education is crucial. Yes, totally agree. We need to educate to educate the populations properly. Yes.
And also there are very few NGOs that took food from the restaurants and marriage halls to donate the food to to old age homes and orphanages and to people who live
Yes.
on streets.
That is a kind of measure we could think on, because I believe, I don't know, but in the restaurants, in the street restaurants, lot of food is wasted.
Yes.
And for the reason I think I've already pointed out here, if you go to a restaurant, at least in Portugal, in Europe, you are expecting to be served in a high quantity of food. If you go to the restaurant and serve you a small, it doesn't matter the taste, but only the quantity, the amount of food, you expect the quantity of food you will have. It doesn't matter if you will eat everything or not, but you think the normal consumer think I should have this quantity because I paid.
Yes.
If I don't eat, not a problem. I don't eat because I don't want, but I have the food. And one meal, two meals, three meals. At the end of the day, the restaurants have a lot of food that will be discarded. And
Yes.
if we think in a kind of usage for these leftovers, That is an idea. You can say, why don't you serve portions with half of the amount you are used to? The problem is, if you do that, the customers, the people that go to the restaurant will claim. So why I pay the same and you give me now half of the portion that yesterday I ate? That is the problem. So of course, with time we can think in adapt the portion size. But when you have your company dependent on what the customer wants and will pay for, you can't do this because you will take your establishment to the end. So one of the measures can be that, and in some countries, I don't know here, but also under development countries, they do that. I remember that some years ago, a colleague from Brazil told me that restaurants and even luxury restaurants, they have a kind of two timetables and two schedules, and one for the normal customers that enter for the main entrance and go to the table and serve and eat what they want. They choose from the menu and pay. And at the end of the lunch, for example, lunch from 12 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then after close this lunch for the people that pay their meals, there is another menu with a very low price with the leftovers of the meals of these people sold to people that can't have access, that don't have money to pay for the meals at the normal price. This can pose some ethical questions, of course. This is questionable, of course, but at least the food is not discarded. Of
Yes.
course, we can think in other ways to give some utilization to that food, but it must make sense for that context, for that population, for that reality. This is always important. We see the context, the reality, and think and plan in programs, in measures that can really work in the reality, in the daily life of people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
According to the recent research, what are some environmental friendly methods that can be used to recycle and manage food waste effectively within the food industry?
Environmental methods that can contribute to mitigate the food waste.
Yes.
Anyone can give any practical example of this. What can we make? What can we make to reduce the food waste that can also be environmental friendly? You have already talked about that here, I think. You have already talked about this. Come on and answer to your one practical example.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir,
Please.
in your opinion, what is strategic and household
No, please, to answer the colleague. Not another question. I'm asking you to answer the. No, okay, further we can proceed. That we have already talked here. Something that we can do. Okay, recycle.
biogas and biofilm, biomass, we can.
Yes, that is a very emerging research topic that we have been studying. Some kind of natural biofilms and that has the role of harvest that kind of food, and that biofilm is composed by some part of food that would be discarded. So it is a kind of natural biofilm that has some protect action and be involved in that food and that new food. That's an example. More. Another example.
So biofertilizers.
Biofertilizers, yes, more. You have a lot. Yesterday, I think that one of you say also an example that was part of of his investigation or of his PhD, and we talked here. Let's see. I don't know if it is in this. No, it's not in this presentation.
Good afternoon, sir. In your second last slides, this answer is your second.
Yes, but I want to go to the second. I want that you. I know that. Yes, yes, but I prefer this. I want what you think.
Your second.
For example, the biofuel, the biogas is another.
Second last slide, sir. Please show.
This?
No, no. Yes. This is the sir correct. You mentioned here the food waste composition for the,
In Greece, yes.
yeah, in a different that means so just like a cucumber peel, lettuce, banana peel, pineapple, and
All fruits, vegetables, yes.
yes. But in India, yeah, apart from India, lots of people working in the different that means agriculture waste. It is called also we can say agriculture waste.
Yes.
They use in the form of their derivatives, just like
Derivatives, yes.
earlier people used in the form just like sugarcane bagasse. Last
Yes,
day
yes,
we
yes.
talked here. Sugarcane bagasse people use only for ethanol production.
Yes, yes.
Limited source people, but apart from that, we can use into the some suppose banana peel. Some different types of bioactive compound is also present there. Pineapple peel, some bioactive compound is also. If we isolate these bioactive compounds, and we can use in the drug delivery, this is also another aspect to use the food waste.
Yeah, in what? Sorry, I didn't.
So I told you, suppose a pineapple peel, different types of that bioactive compound is present there.
Yes.
Okay, if we this bioactive compound isolate and use in different just like drug delivery or different.
And
types
is
of,
that cost effectively?
yeah, definitely, sir.
Yes.
People are working on that right now, so it is also cost effective and we reduce the food waste.
Yes, because if it is very well, that is another thing we have to think, because we can have a good idea and that can be possible, but then we see the cost and not so lucrative.
One of my paper also doing this types of work. So in this we also work in biofilm, making a biofilm,
Yes.
and this is also cost effective.
Okay, okay. So that is fantastic and a nice and another possibility. Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you, sir.
That is in sometimes one of the main issues. We see that that technology, that process that could work well, but regarding its cost effectiveness, it's not so affordable. So, but if so,
In India, most of the IITs and IITs working these types of things also in recent 4 to 5 years also. So maybe 1 decade. This is the we can reduce these types of.
yes, 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 yes. That's important. That is important. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your sharing.
Like one of the main strategies we can work on to food waste composition, or maybe they are working, which is in process, that when we think from the meat industry point of view, the leftovers from meat industries, they have been used with the aquaculture types. Like when we talk about the waste, for example, bones. So when they are crushed, they are used in the eel farmings as a source of food. So that's what I've observed, that
Okay.
there are some outcomes from food waste also, like which has been in the progress these current years. So that's what
Okay.
I want to tell.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes. Thank you for your sharing.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, in your opinion, what strategy can household adopt to reduce food waste?
In which environment?
Have which strategy we can
Strategy.
adopt? Yes,
But
sir.
in which context? That is a
Household.
At home level, at kitchen, we have already discussed a lot of that. Can I will pose the question again to the audience to see if you are. How is your level of attention? Your colleague is anxious to answer you. On the back. What do you think? What can we do daily in our kitchens, in our routines, in our daily life to reduce the food waste? This is a question that can summarize all what are we talking here, discussing here. So, who wants to give a contribution and answering this?
Good afternoon, sir. Actually, I suggest about the.
A little bit higher, please. The microphone. No, not you. You can be seated. I was saying
Actually,
to talk with higher, more powerful on the voice.
yes. Actually, I suggest that we want to reduce the food wastage and.
I'm sorry, but I can't understand very almost nothing. Please, more strong. Or you come here, or come here. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Actually, I suggest that the food waste is converted into compost. In that way, we can educate the people by running the campaigns over the village peoples like that, and we know the value of the food, and we also educate them to smart buying of food. And
Yes, one point. Smart buying. We have already talked about that. The first moment is when you get the food. So you have to start thinking on that moment. What can I do for not to waste the food? Yes, please continue. Thank you.
and one more thing, build the compost units on the outside of the
Yes,
village
very
to.
good, very good. Yes, yes.
And one more thing, I tell the last one, the rule is buy what you need and cook what you eat, and reuse what is left and compost what is waste.
Yes, and finally, to communicate this message properly to your audience. And if even with those key message you stated, even if so, the people will have leftovers, what to do? This is the part of reuse. And how will you, a practical example of reuse that waste or leftovers? Not calling waste because waste is when you discard, but how will you use the leftovers of what you produced in excess in your kitchen?
Actually, the left we can preserve the freezer. Preserve the food
One
as a freeze.
possibility to freeze and to eat them in the next meal. Yes,
Yes, sir.
and more. Only that. Another solution if you don't want to eat in the next meal because I don't want it. You can give to the animals, feed the animals. You can give to another person to eat. But of course, this will depend of the context.
Yes,
And if we are talking about, for example, a canteen, a restaurant, they have a great amount of leftovers. They can make some collaboration with some charity institutions and give them these leftovers and not discard them. So this thinking on the context on what you have, you can have very different solutions. So
Also introduce the small plate or half plate of in restaurants to reduce the plate waste.
yes, yes, but especially in canteens, that can be in social canteens in some contexts that can work. But of course, in restaurants that people go there and will pay their meal, you can reduce the portion for one day to another for an half, but because people will complain, will ask, what is this? Is what we have discussed before. People have no problems in paying to have the double of food they need, and if it is necessary, they will leave the excess in the plate and discard. We have to think is in measures, at least in the first moment, how to use that excess of food. But of course, in the long term, to think in adequate those portions, even in those kind of establishments. Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, Hello, sir.
Where? Ah, here. I was looking for.
One more thing we can do.
Yes.
In Hindu custom, one rituals not it is not a compulsory. One day fast in every week.
One day fast in every week.
Yes, yes. If you do this type
On
of
that day, you will not waste food.
yeah, that if you not prepare food, that is no waste food. So we can start fast.
And if you fast 7 days per week, perfect. I have a professor that saying if you start to make photosciences like a plant, that will be perfect. You will see that you will not get fat. You will not waste food, nothing. Only the sun, water, and
actually,
I'm joking, but of course.
no, but in our customs, people starting fast.
Yes. I know.
There is specific some types of.
Yes.
So we can do one day fast. That is also good.
Yes. If it's
one
good.
day Indian all peoples are
But
day
that
fast.
will not work, I believe, for every people.
20%.
Yes.
Yeah, 10% is too much, no? If we are 60 here, if one
Yes,
day,
but once again, that will depends on the culture, on the tradition, on the customs of the population, and of course, it can work very well in some places, but in the others, for example, if you go with that idea to my country, and you tell me to make one day fast, I will not do it, and I don't care.
but
And end of discussion. It can be wonderful. You see that, but these differences are important to take into consideration because this can be very effective in some places, in some cultures, and the others no. That is also because, and I was telling, for example, in Lisbon we have a lot of Indian restaurants, but the Indian food there nothing to do with this because what would happen if I bring the exactly food of Indian there to Lisbon and open an Indian restaurant? Perhaps it will not have so much success. People can't eat, for example, the spices, and the restaurant will not survive too much long. So it is important to know the target community, the target people, and of course make the adaptations, and then to ask the people the impossible. If you ask the impossible, you will have nothing. So this knowledge of the target populations is very, very, very relevant. But of course, if you are in an environment, in a community that has some kind of behaves, you can. It's like the insects we talked in this morning. If you have in a country some regions that already have tradition to prepare to consume as food is easier than to convince or to say to the others, let's try to make this because we can have some benefit. But in a country, in a place that no one see that as a possibility and even are related to something harmful, something bad, it is even more difficult. This is important to take into consideration when we are planning to change minds, to change routines, to change habits, whatever is the final goal. But when you are trying to enter in the mind of the people, in their behaviors, and to change them, you have to learn about them, about their way of thinking, and what influences their actions. You can. It is impossible. You will not have good results if you only say people do this or do another thing. That is very important to take into consideration when you are planning some strategies, some programs, some plans to make people change their routines.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My question is how food waste connect to global hunger and insecurity.
Very related. Who wants to answer? Another issue we have already discussed here, not only in one session, but more than in one session. How food waste can be related with food hunger and food insecurity. Not food hunger, with hunger and food insecurity. I hope that everybody in this room can answer that. Don't disappoint me. Another, a new one to make an intervention and answer the colleague. A very clear question and a very clear point that must be in your mind at this point. How can you relate it? Another one, a new voice.
It's an obvious question. Like if the food is wasted, food scarcity is occurring, food hunger is occurring, so it is leading to the insecurity of the food.
Yes, and it is where one thing that we can start and to explain to other people why you are wasting food when you have people dying of hunger, dying
So, sir,
of
that is a, like we can't enter into everyone's mind now. Like as the discussion has been to this end, we have understood that food reducing the food wastage is a bit impossible right now because saying everyone, educating everyone at point to point, door to door has become a huge challenge now. So rather than reducing, now we can focus on waste management itself because reducing we are saying like everybody only take the food which you will be able to eat in the plate, but nobody is listening, everybody are doing so going door to door saying everyone.
No, we want that people change their behaviors in the daily life, so we can reduce the food waste.
So that's exactly as you
pushing
said.
by pushing a button. You have to change the behaviors. You have to change minds to make their actions become different, and then the food waste or not will be the result.
Yes, same
of that
example.
change.
You decline like to take one day fast. Everybody will like decline their mentality. We can't change them.
Yes. But
So it's
you have
better to
find,
focus on waste
because
management.
you have to find the right strategy for that community and what can work in your community. It is not certain that will work in my community if I don't want to make fast, but perhaps I can make food reutilization. Just an example.
That's what I'm saying, sir. Like as there is custom of one day fast, we also have a custom of 30 days fast, in which we eat one day a meal, like only a meal. But it's like we'll say how you eat only one meal, right? So eat it simple, but it's not true. In ancient Asian days, they used to eat simple food, but nowadays they'll be okay. I'm not eating from morning, right? I'm eating only one meal. Let me make it luxurious. So wastage is increasing.
Yes, it's not simple. It's not simple at all. And enter in the mind of people, it's difficult.
Exactly, sir. So it's like
And sometimes people say one thing, but think
they won't
and
do.
do another. Yes. That is the problem. That is the problem.
So now rather than focusing on reducing the waste,
okay, the waste is producing. Let us manage that waste.
Yes, and the results of food wasting we will not see for one day to another. It is not immediately. That will be the result of changing of behaviors and actions that take time and take time to enter in the minds of people and make them really change, and not to change one day or one morning because they heard that in the radio, in television, or what else, or because one person told them to do it. No, they must change because they feel that is more appropriate for their lives, and this is not very easy. This is for sure. This is very complicated to make these changes in the people's
So
lives.
then, if we compare past and future, the past people, like our grandfathers, grandfather, they don't waste food. As the like education is going forward, we are
Education
wasting
and
food.
the world that they live when they were child were totally different from ours, and the food access was totally different. And globalization, they didn't have that globalization. Everything is different. Everything is different, and for sure, for most of them, this is quite strange. Our living times. Of course, and perhaps our grandsons will be totally
Yeah,
different
exactly.
as
They say
well.
that don't waste food, but we are like, okay, fine. So
Yes, 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 yes. So the world is always changing, always
day by
changing.
day, it's increasing. We are getting more educated. Like actually, the mind is going low.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. No more questions? One more question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to give a suggestion like, can we go to supplementation rather than making
If
preparing
can
or
we go? Can we go to
supplementation? Like, we can,
supplementation?
yeah,
No, as I think there already was a similar question. What is food supplementation? The definition. We can correlate food supplementation with food waste and the absence of nutritional needs. I don't know if your question is related to that, but food supplementation is when a person can accomplish their nutritional needs according to their normal diet. And here, when we are talking about food waste, is when we are discarding food, and some people has no access to food, and other are discarding food, are wasting food. So the relation between food supplementation and food waste, I don't know. I have difficulties in establishing. But I think this question was already made by someone earlier.
So, like, if we have leftover food, like, or we have prepared something extra, like in my home, my mother, if extra rice is prepared, we can make new recipe out of it. And
Yes.
if we have stale bread, like, also then she make new thing out of it. So we can do this also in order to reduce the wastage of food.
Yes, that is one way. The education is very very important. If, for example, all parents say to the children when go to the table and you have to eat everything you have in the plate. If not, you can't go out of the table. One meal, another meal, and every day, they of course will learn the importance of food waste. But this doesn't happen in every family. If you go to a restaurant or to a party or what else, and you put in your meal more food than the food you will eat, you shouldn't do that. Everything you put on your plate, you have to eat. So, but this is once again the education and how important more than the other actions. If people is properly educated in this sense, in this way, I believe that the numbers of food waste would also reduce. Yes, that's very important. Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. Yes.
Sir, how does consumer behavior relate to food wastage?
It depends of the consumers. It depends on the country. Depends of the context. A lot of variables. One are more. It's like the neophobic scales. One are more neophobic. Others are more neophilic. Others are neutral. We have consumers that accept more. Others not so well. Others it will depends. We have no two people equal and no two equal cultures and traditional customs. So it will varies a lot in that sense. You can establish a common tracing for all the consumers, but we have to take into consideration that variation. That for sure.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So my question is, how does food waste at different stages of the supply chain can affect the public health and nutrition outcomes globally?
Once again, I think we are repeating the same the same issues. I enjoy very much your interventions, but I think I can put you together. Speak. Who wants to give one more question to an answer to this question? I send back the question to you. Tell me. I believe all of you must know the answer to this. Another voice. I need to hear another voice. Everybody have already a new people, a new person, a new intervention.
How does food waste at different stages of the supply chain can affect the public health and nutrition outcomes globally?
So let's answer. Well,
Like when you talk about different stages, at different stages, so the more processed the food is, the more loss we'll see. For example, for a highly processed food, when you talk about, for example, McD's or McDonald's, for a hamburger, you'll find the nutrients are more lost compared to the nutrients found. More saturated fats we'll see compared to the ones which were actually added, which were present in the food.
and of course we will have very variables that will depend and make this different of course the process. We have different process, we have different foods, and one are more difficult to us and others not. Of course this it is hard to make an answer as a global, because the food varies so much, and also the process technologies. We have so different process technologies. It is impossible, in my point of view, to make a global answer or a global explanation to all. But of course, it will have very high implications in the. You have already talked in the nutritional deficiencies, in the health impact that this can have in the people, because if we are wasting food, people can't access to food, they will get anger or stunt, and we'll have a lot of problems related to that. So You have already talked about that, I think, here in this session. Take it.
Like what I think is when we talk about food wastage, it also we have to see the level of like it depends from community to community. So like for example, if we talk about the
Yes, and different types of food once again.
exactly like for example, if an elite class is there, for example, when you take that some sort of parties were going on, kind of huge amount of food wastage was generated. It doesn't mean that it will go end to end towards the ones which were hungry.
Yes,
It will end
yes,
up in the landfills basically.
yes, of course. Yes.
So that's one of the major difference which I see when we relate the food wastage with hunger.
With anger,
So it's
yes.
not always related with the community which is hungry or the ones which are fulfilled.
Any more question?
Thank you. That's all, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for an engaging and insightful tutorial. I think everyone enjoyed here a lot. As we come to the close of today's engaging sessions under the Gyan program, let's take a quick recap of the insightful lectures we have had. Our first lecture, Insects as Food, opened a fascinating discussion on entomophagy, the practice of eating insects, highlighting their immense nutritional benefits, environmental sustainability, and potential role in ensuring global food security. We also explored the concept of food neophobia, the fear of trying new foods, and how consumer perception continues to shape the acceptance of insect based foods, especially in Western societies. The session emphasized the need for safety regulations, consumer education, and innovative marketing strategies to make insect based food more mainstream in the future. In the second lecture, we delved into the world of Salicornia species, known as promising helophytic plants. These salt tolerant species were presented as potential plants of the future due to their remarkable nutritional value, biotic compounds, and use of salt substitutes. The talk also shed light on their applications in the cosmetic, nutraceutical, and functional food industries, their sustainability in saline environments, and their potential contribution to improving food security and environmental health. Finally, our third session encouraged active participation through a classroom discussion on food waste and public health, examining the role of food industry in addressing this global issue. Together, we discussed the environmental, economic, and social impacts of food waste, reviewed innovative waste valorization technologies, and shared thoughts on sustainable solutions that can convert waste into resources, contributing to a circular, healthier food system. Overall, today's sessions have offered a holistic understanding of future forward food systems, from alternative protein sources and helophyte crops to sustainable consumption and waste management. With that, we officially conclude first this day's proceedings. Now, as you all remember, yesterday we had a very insightful lecture by Dr. Rupesh Deshmukh on biofortification, where we explored how this approach can play a vital role in improving the nutritional quality of our food crops. So, after a tea break, we will be having a visit to his lab where you will be able to observe the ongoing work and gain a clearer picture of the scientific efforts behind biofortified crops. So, let's make the most of this learning. Thank you so much and happy evening.